Good morning, student. Today we'll start the first unit, that is Introduction to Entrepreneurship. Okay. So in unit one, there are the content for the introduction to entrepreneurship. So introduction, concept of entrepreneurship, significance of entrepreneurships, theories of entrepreneurships, models of entrepreneurship development, and then we'll discuss the definition of entrepreneurships, its traits and characteristics of successful entrepreneurs, functions of entrepreneurs, types of entrepreneurs, factors influencing entrepreneurships, professional versus family entrepreneurships, entrepreneurial entrepreneurial leader versus managers, entrepreneurial process, entrepreneurial motivation, entrepreneurial barriers, women as entrepreneur, role of women entrepreneurs in society, barriers to women entrepreneurs, myth of entrepreneurships, problems faced by the entrepreneurs and capacity building for entrepreneurships, profits of successful entrepreneurships. Okay, so these are the contents of the entrepreneurships. Today we will start about the introduction to entrepreneurships. Introduction, concept of entrepreneurship, significance of entrepreneurships. So what are the objectives of these entrepreneurships? We have to describe how the entrepreneurships evolved from economic theory, how the entrepreneurship developed from the economic theory. We have to explain the entrepreneurships and its characteristics of entrepreneurs. We will discuss the small business as a dimension of entrepreneurships, the concept of corporate entrepreneurships, and how the entrepreneurship has influenced economic development and productivity in recent years. So the concept of entrepreneurship has been found for a very long time, but its resurgent popularity implies a sudden discovery, as if you had stumbled into the new directions. For example, this concept has come from the America, and therefore the American enterprises. This is the myth, as we shall see, because the American systems of free enterprise has always endangered the spirit of entrepreneurships. America was discovered by entrepreneurs. It is said that America was discovered by the entrepreneurs and nourished by the entrepreneurs, and the United States become the world economic power through the entrepreneurship activity. Entrepreneurship activity is new to India because we always go for the job. We always go for as for the job. You, after graduation from the college, we never think to become the entrepreneurship because we have never thought about that idea. So entrepreneurships we'll discuss, and when you complete this subject, then at the end of the subject, probably we'll think that to become the entrepreneurships. This is the beauty of this course in entrepreneurship developments. So I just told you that America was discovered by not any other person, but America was discovered by the entrepreneurs, and America was also nourished by the entrepreneurs, and the United States become the world economic superpower. Why it has become the world's super economic power? Because of the entrepreneurship activities. More important, our future rests squarely on the entrepreneurship ventures founded by the creative individuals. They are inspired people. They are inspired people. They are inspired people, often adventurous, who at once disrupt a society and instigate progress. They are risk takers who seize opportunity to harness and use resources in unequal ways. So who are the entrepreneurs? They are the risk takers. Okay, they always take the risks. They are the risk takers who seize opportunities. Who always seize opportunities means they are always trying to find opportunities for the entrepreneurships to harness and use of resources, to harness and use of resources in unusual way, in unusual way. So this is the we can define the entrepreneurships as like this. So they are risk takers because they are risk takers and they always seize the opportunity to harness and use resources in unused, unusual ways. And the entrepreneurs will thrust into the 21st century with a thunderous roars. So entrepreneurships constitute the driving force of the American dreams because entrepreneurship, this concept, it has come from the America. Entrepreneurship constitutes the driving force for the American peoples, and the legendary tycoons created the empires. There are some legendary tycoons are there in America. They have created empires from the small ideas. How the large corporations evolved from the backyard enterprises, and how many ventures today are poised for growth. Perhaps having at their helms the Fords, Rockefellers, and Carnegies of the futures. So, an entrepreneur perspective. Next, we'll discuss the an entrepreneurial perspective. So, entrepreneurship is one of the four mainstream economic factors. So, what are the four mainstream economic factors? First is the land, second is the labor, third is the capital, and fourth is the entrepreneurs. So these are the four mainstream economic factors. This will drive the economy of any country. Which are these factors? Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurships. The word itself is derived from the 17th century French entrepreneur. This refers to individuals who were undertakers. What is the meaning of entrepreneur? It refers to the individuals who were undertakers, meaning to those undertook the risks of the new enterprises. We have to start the new enterprises, and this is nothing but taking the risks of starting the new enterprises. And we have some ideas, and that idea we convert into some actions and by setting up the enterprises. They were contractors. Okay, the entrepreneurs, they are nothing but the contractor also who bore the risks of profit or loss. They are contractors and who bore the risks of the profit and loss. And many early entrepreneurs were soldiers of fortunes. They are adventurers, they are builders, they are merchants, and incidentally, funeral directors. How the terms undertaker become associated with the funeral is the mystery. But there is a considerable body of literature on entrepreneurships. Early reference to the entrepreneurship in the 14th century spoke about the tax collectors. Okay, so in the 14th century, the word entrepreneur was also used, and this was about the tax contractors. So the individuals who paid the tax sum of money to the government for the license to collect the tax in that area. So we also see in India, we also collect some tax from the region, and before that we have to take the license from the government to collect the tax in that region. And that what these tax entrepreneurs, they bore the risk of collecting the individual tax. They collect the tax from the people in that area, and if they collected more than the sum paid to the government, if they collected more than the sum paid to the government, they made profit. Okay, and if they do not collect more than the sum paid to the government, there will be the loss. Okay, but when they collect more than the sum paid for their license, they made profit, and they kept the excess amount with them, and this is their profit. And if they fail to collect the amount enough to match the cost of the license, the government officials who already had their money from the license fee could not care less. So this is how the entrepreneurs, they are also the tax entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship was a common topic in the economic essay for much of the 18th and 19th century. Okay, so economics and entrepreneurship. Next is the economics and entrepreneurship. So this economic and internship, they are related to each other, because we just uh, discussed that America was discovered by the entrepreneurs, and it is also nourished by the entrepreneurs, and the United States become the world economic power through the entrepreneurship activity. So economic and entrepreneurship, they are related. Richard Cantillon. This is a French economics of the Irish descent, is credited with giving a concept of entrepreneurship a central role in the economics. In his essay sur la nature du commerce in general, this is the paper published in 1755. Cantillon describes entrepreneurship as a person who pays a certain price for a product to resell it at an uncertain price, thereby making decisions about obtaining and using the resources while consequently assuming the risks of enterprises. So the what is the critical point of Cantillon's argument was the entrepreneurships consciously make decisions. They consciously make the decisions about the resource allocations. Whatever the resource are there with them. Resource may be money, resource may be the machine, resource may be the man. So according to the Cantillon, uh, he the argument was that the entrepreneurships consciously make decisions about the resource allocation. Consequently, astute entrepreneurs would always seek the best opportunity for using the resources for their highest commercial yields. Means whatever the resources are there with them, they always seek the best opportunity for using the resources for their highest commercial yields. So Cantillon played out his theory in real life, becoming a wealthy arbitrator investing in European ventures, dealing in monetary exchange and controlling commodities such as the farm produce to action in the high demand markets. His vision we'll discuss now. So next is the Adam Smith. So Adam Smith spoke of the enterprise in his 1776 Wealth of Nations as an individual. According to the Adam Smith, enterpriser is an individual who undertook the formation of an organization for commercial purpose. He therefore ascribed to the entrepreneurs the role of industrialist, but he also viewed the entrepreneur as a person with unusual foresight who could recognize potential demand for the goods and service. So in Smith view, entrepreneurs reacted to the economic change, thereby becoming the economic agents who transferred demand into supply. So who is the entrepreneurs? Entrepreneurs always react to the economic change. According to the Smith, the entrepreneurs always react to the economic change, thereby becoming the economic agents. He also become the economic agents who transfer the demand into supply. Whatever the society demands, that demands is fulfilled by supplying whatever the community demands. So this is according to the Adam Smith. So according to him, the entrepreneurs always react to the economic change. Whatever the economic change is there, thereby becoming the economic agents who transfer demand into supply. Next is the French economics Jean Baptiste. So Jean Baptiste say in his 1803 Trait the economy politique described as entrepreneur as a one who possesses certain arts. According to him, the entrepreneurs possess the certain arts and skills. According to the Jean, the entrepreneurs who possess the certain arts and skills of creating new economics enterprises, yet a person who has exceptional insight into the society's need means the person who sees into the society what is the need of the society and was able to fulfill them. What is the need of the society means what is the demand of the society, and he can fulfill by supplying the demand, whatever the demand the society demands. So therefore, combining the economic risk takers of Cantillon. So according to the Cantillon's early view of the entrepreneur behaviors. So the economic risk taker of Cantillon and the industrial manager of Smith into the unusual character. Says entrepreneurs influenced by the society by creating the new enterprises and at the same time was influenced by the society to recognize needs and fulfills them through the astute management of resources. So there is an investment. Investment is there is a transformation and then there is a profit or loss. So this is a Cantillon early view of the entrepreneurial behaviors. So entrepreneurs buys farm products. Investment means what entrepreneurs do? Entrepreneurs buys farm products at certain price. Okay, investment. What it transfer? It transfer that primary products. Entrepreneur repacks. What he do? He repacks and transport from produce to market. From produce to market. Okay, and entrepreneur sells foods. He sells foods produce in the city at uncertain price. In city at uncertain price. For example, the British economics John Stuart Mill elaborated on the necessity of entrepreneurs in private enterprise. The term entrepreneurs subsequently become common as a description of the business founders. And the fourth factor of the economic endeavor was entrenched in economic literature as encompassing the ultimate ownership of a commercial enterprises. So according to the John Stuart Mill, Mill's work, however, was among the last of the early economic studies in Britain or France. He recognized entrepreneurship as a central to economic theory. For the great part of the next 100 years, British and French economics among were more concerned with the models of microeconomics, and most of these were reduced to the precise mathematical formulae. The human side of enterprises, the role of adventurers or risk-taking entrepreneurs. Okay, so during the time, there was an important moment in Austria that subsequently influenced our 20th century concept of entrepreneurships. So Karl Menger established the subjectivity perspective of economics, subjectivist perspective of the economic in his 1871 principle of economics. Okay, so in Merger's views, economic change does not arise from the circumstances, but from an individual's awareness and undertaking of those circumstances. So according to this person, this is the CARL Karl Menger. According to him, what is the entrepreneurships or the economic change does not arise from the circumstances. Whatever the circumstances are there, the economic change does not arise from the economic circumstances, but from the individual's awareness. The individual should be aware and understanding of those circumstances. The entrepreneur becomes therefore the change agents who transform resource into the useful goods or service. So here is the entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship become the change agent, means what he does, he buys farm products at a certain price, he transfer that farm products into the suppose for example he buys wheat from the farmer, so he transfer the wheat into the either breads, okay, or the butter breads, he make the breads from the wheat, and that bread he sells in the city at higher prices. So this is how he transferred the wheat into the bread. Okay, so according to the entrepreneurs becomes therefore the change agents who transferred resources into the useful goods and services, and often creating the circumstances that leads to industrial growth. See, so this is the according to the Karl Menger. According to him, the entrepreneurs is the change agent change agent who transforms resources into useful goods and services, and often creating circumstances that lead to industrial growth, that lead to industrial growth. Okay, so Menger envision a causal change of the events whereby resources having no direct use in terms of fulfilling human needs. What human needs? Okay, and therefore whatever the resources are there having no direct use in terms of fulfilling human needs were transformed into highly valued products that directly fulfill human needs. This is the classic theory of production. However, Menger saw the entrepreneurs as a astute individual who could envision this transformation and create the means to implement it. So Menger assigned a priority numbers to different events. So according to the Menger, what Menger's model of value-added transformation of resources. So according to him, this is the grain in field has a very low value, has a very low value. Okay. Then there is a bulk grain from farmer has low value. Bulk grain from farmer has low value. Okay. Then there is a intermediate steps in transformation. The transformation takes place, and there is a intermediate steps in transformation. Then milled flour for baker has higher value. Milled flour for baker has high value. Okay, after that, bread at bakery for sell high value. We prepare the bread at bakery has high value. Okay, and deliver baked bread in highest value use. Delivered baked bread at highest value. Okay. So this is the mergers model of value added transformation. of resources. This is a Menger's model of value added transformation of resources. So what resources we have with us? Grain in the field has very low value. If you go to the farmer's field and if you see the wheat has very low value. But when you purchase the wheat from the farmers, there is a bulk grain from farmers has low values. Okay, then intermediate steps are there in transformation. Suppose we take the wheat from the farmers and we take it to the flour mill, and this milled flour for baker has high values than the wheat. Okay, then this milled flour bring to the bakery and they make the bread at bakery which has very high value. And when this deliver in the market, then deliver baked bread at higher values. Okay, so in this way uh, there is the value added transformation of resources. There is a value added transformation of the resources. So entrepreneurs, he always uh, works for in this the value added transformations. He always works for the value added transformations. Means always innovation is there, but innovation should be commercialized. Okay, but the idea which was there, that idea should be uh, your innovations, whatever the innovations we do, that innovation should be commercialized, then it will add the values to your resources and there will be the more price in the market. So this is a mergers model of value added transformation of resources. So mergers saw the entrepreneurs as astute individuals who would envision this transformation and create the means to implement it. Merger assigned the priority number to different events. He assigned the priority number to different events and he has given the priority number of 1 to this event. This is the priority number 1 to this deliver baked bread at the highest value. Then he has given the priority to this is priority number 2. Priority number 2, this is the priority number 3, and this is a priority number 7, and this is the priority number 8. So the manager assigned the priority numbers to different events in this chain so that the high priority events would have low numbers. High priority events would have the low numbers. So at the end, there is a grain in the field of the farmers and he has a priority number 8. So high priority number, the high priority events would have the lower numbers. For example, the manager assigned a priority number to different events. So in this change, the high priority events would have the low numbers. Example number 1, and would be an ultimate end use to satisfy the human needs such as the providing consumer with the baked bread. So he has given the priority number 1. High priority means priority number 1 and it has very high value. At the other extreme, manager assigned the low priority events with a high number, that is 8 number, and this might represent the raw material needed to create the number 1, and priority number 8 is the raw material needed to create the number 1 events, and therefore fields of unharvested wheat would have the low priority. Okay, it would have the low priority, and therefore The entrepreneurs, in Menger's view, was able to see both extremes and conceive the way to transfer the unharvested wheat into the fresh bread. So according to entrepreneurs, according to the Menger's view, the entrepreneurs see both the ends, extreme ends. One end is the priority number one, another is the priority number eight. The priority number one has the high value, and we can sell the whatever the product we have made at this end with a higher price in the market. So the entrepreneurs always see these extreme ends. Extreme ends. Extreme end means the way and conceive of ways to transfer this unharvested wheat at the field of the farmers into the fresh bread. So this is the Menger's model identified intermediate points of transformation. So what is the intermediate points? Harvesting wheat. The farmers harvest the wheat on the field, then there is a grinding grains, then making bread, and it is delivered it with opportunity for adding value to the original resource in such a way as to eventually satisfy the human needs. So bread is at the end of the this extreme at the end of this process. So the priority 8 is the grain in the field which has a very low value, and priority number 1 which is deliver baked bread at the highest value use. Therefore, uh, the critical to Menger's theory was the incentive needed to pursue these transformation activities, and of course that is the profit motive. When the value is added to the product, the value is rewarded through profit. Okay, so at the end of this the Menger's, when value is added, when the value is added to a product, that the value is rewarded through profit, that value is rewarded through profit. Means we can say we take the wheat from the farmer at a very low price, and we add the value to that wheat, and we make the bread, and the bread is sold at a market at a very high price. And this is according to the Menger. When the value is added to the product is your bread, then the value is divided with profit. Value is divided to the profit. He can make the profit through the by selling that bread. So extending the examples, entrepreneurs who invent a way to harvest grain more efficiently or to grind grain into the flour more rapidly adds more value to the products. Okay, so शुभम बोरसे माइक बंद करा. Okay, so entrepreneurs who invest in a way to harvest grain more efficiently and to grind grain into the flour more rapidly adds more value to the product because of the consumer benefits from more bread at a lower cost. This was precisely what occurs when the Cyrus McCormick invented the mechanical reaper in 1831. The Cyrus McCormick. So this Cyrus McCormick invented the mechanical reaper. What he invented? He invented the mechanical reaper. Mechanical reaper in 1831. So the farmers had been reaping wheat by hand. Also, if you have not seen, but I have seen the when I was child, I have seen that the farmers was using the hand for reaping this wheat. They use the animals. Uh, Animals walk on that unharvested wheat, and then they make the wheat from that. So farmers had been reaping wheat by hands, just as they had done in the ancient times, cutting perhaps the acres or two a day. Means they took 1 day for cutting the harvested wheat by the hand. And when the McCormick reaper, farmers could reap a dozens acres a day. Okay, farmers could reap a dozens acre a day, means according to the McCormick reapers. Otherwise, the farmers